there from West Virginia. Okay, well, hey there. Hey there. So what I have is joke of the day, and you know you can count on joke of the day because it is the best part of the day. So what is a bird's favorite type of math? A bird, you know, a bird flying in the sky. What's a bird's favorite type of math? Algebra. You know, owls, algebra. That's a good one. I really like that. That's awesome. Okay, so what we're going to take a look at today is multiplying sign numbers in order to simplify your algebraic expressions. We know how to multiply our sign numbers. We know that we're going to multiply the digits, and then in order to determine the sign of our answer, if we have an odd number of negatives, that's an odd feeling. It kind of gives me a negative feeling, so my answer will be negative. If I have an even number of negatives, my answer will be positive. So we're going to use that in order to simplify our algebraic expressions, because notice here I have 3 times x, negative 8 times y, and the parentheses sitting beside each other indicates what? Yes, sitting beside always indicates multiplication. So this is one great big huge multiplication problem, and we know that multiplication is commutative and associative, so we know that we can go ahead and multiply that 3 and that negative 8 together, and we can multiply that x and that y together. Well, now 3 times negative 8, I'm going to multiply those digits to get a 24, and I have an odd number of negatives. So remember, that odd number of negatives gives me that odd feeling, giving me a negative feeling, and so I can simplify this as negative 24xy. Well, let's take a look at the second one. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply these first, multiply these next, and then I'm going to add them up. So when I multiply these, once again, I'm going to multiply those digits, and 2 times 3 will give me a 6. And here again, I have an odd number of negatives giving me that negative feeling. So I'm going to get a negative, so it's a negative 6ab. And then when I multiply here, once again, I'm going to multiply those digits, and 4 times 6 will be 24. And here again, I have 1 negative giving me, that's an odd number of negatives giving me that negative feeling. And I'll get that ab. So I have a negative 6ab plus a negative 24ab, and now I can combine up those like terms. They are alike because they both have a to the first power, b to the first power. So when they are alike, I'm going to work those coefficients, and I'm going to take a negative 6 plus a negative 4, 24 that is, and remember, when I'm adding up the sign numbers, I'm going to add the digits if the signs are the same, and the signs are the same, so I'm just going to combine the digits. I like it that they're the same. So I'm going to combine them up, and a 6 and a 24 will give me a 30. I'm going to keep this sign, and I'll get a negative 30ab, because I'm going to keep what's making the like. The variables is what's making the like. So now let's take a look at the next one. Notice in the next one, inside this parentheses, I could go ahead and combine these up. A 2x and an x will give me a 3x. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 3x and multiply it to a negative 5. So what I'll do when I multiply it to a negative 5, once again, I'm going to multiply those digits. 5 times 3 will give me 15. And here again, I have an odd number of negatives because I only have 1 negative. That's giving me that odd feeling. So my answer will be a negative. I have a negative 15x. And then here, I'm going to take that negative 3 and multiply it. This, when it doesn't appear there's a number there, then it's understood to be a 1. So 3 times 1 will give me 3. And then I have a negative here and a negative here. That's 2 negatives. That's an even number of negative. What does that result in? Yes, a positive. So a negative 3 times a negative 1 will be a positive 3, and I have an xy. Notice these two are not like terms. Yes, they both have x's, but this one does not have an x. I'm sorry, this one does not have a y. This one has a y, this does not. So I cannot put them together. They are not like terms, and I'm stuck here. This is as good as that one's going to get. All right, let's flip it over. I've got 2 more examples because you know I like for you to have a lot to make sure you feel comfortable with everything. So in this example, once again, I'm going to go ahead and multiply these, and then I'll subtract. Now when I multiply these, I'm going to multiply those digits. 5 times 6 will give me 30. And again, I have 1 negative right here, because this negative is attached to this. Remember, sign in front's a sign that goes. When you go to a meeting, you put your name tag on the front. You never put your name tag on the back. You put your name tag on the back, I'll have no idea who you are. So you put your name tag on the front so that I can identify your face with your name. I'll know who you are. And you don't take that name tag off till you leave the meeting. So this negative actually applies to this AB over here. Matter of fact, I'm going to write it like this. So I know it goes with that AB. So that means that when I multiply the 5 and the 6 and get a 30, I only have one negative there. And remember, that's that odd feeling, that odd negative feeling. So I get a negative 30 AB. And now when I check this out, I go, wait a minute, 4 plus 1 is 5. So this is really just a negative 5AB. Now, are those like terms? Yes, in fact they are. They're both a to the first power, b to the first power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the opposite of the second one because it's a subtraction problem. And when it's subtraction, I always add the opposite of the second one. So add the opposite. It was a positive. Now it's going to become a negative. And now I'm going to combine up those like terms. Keeping what's making them alike. The variables is what's making them alike. So I'm going to keep that AB, and I'm simply going to work those coefficients. A negative 30 plus a negative 5. Well, since those signs are the same, I'm not talking even and odd here. Same signs means I'm going to combine the digits and keep the sign. So 30 and 5 will give me a 35, and I'm going to keep that sign. All right, last one. Notice that we can't combine anything in here, nor can we combine anything here. We were able to do that here, and that was wonderful. We were even able to do it in the previous example here, and that was wonderful because it allowed us to simplify things. But in this case, there's nothing that I can combine in either of those parentheses. However, I see that 4 sitting right up against, and what does up against mean? Yes, up against means multiplication. So that means I'm going to take that 4 and I'm going to multiply it to everything inside the parentheses, which is what we call the distributive property. Remember, that's why the parentheses is there. It's telling us I'm not just going to multiply the 4 to the 3y. I'm going to multiply it to everything there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a parentheses there. 4 is also going to be multiplied to that negative 7. Now, 4 times 3 is 12, so I get a 12y out of that. But when I multiply 4 times negative 7, once again, I'll multiply the digits. 4 times 8 is 28, and I have a positive and a negative. That's one negative. An odd number of negatives gives me the odd negative feeling, so it comes up as a negative. Now notice that I have a negative sitting right up against the parentheses. When it doesn't look like there's a digit there, what is the understood digit? Yes, it is a 1. So I'm going to take that negative 1 that's right up against the parentheses, and up against we know means multiplication. So I'm going to multiply that negative 1 to everything inside and distribute the negative to every single term inside, giving me a negative 13y, and then here we are, negative 1 times negative 2. Well, when I multiply the digits, 1 times 2 is 2, and now 1, 2 negatives, that doesn't give me an odd negative feeling, that's an even number. That gives me a positive feeling. And now I can combine up those like terms. I have a 12y here minus a 13y, or you could look at it as, once again, subtraction means add the opposite of the second one. So a 12y plus a negative 13y, signs are different. Now when you're combining the terms and you're not multiplying, you're going to take smaller from larger when signs are different, because this negative 13 is going to overpower the 12 by 1. Overpower it by 1. So 12 from 13 will give me a 1, and I'm going to take the sign of the larger because it's overpowering, so take the sign of the larger. So I have a negative 1y because I'm going to retain what's making them alike. The variables is what's making them alike, so I'm going to retain that. And you know you don't have to show that coefficient of 1. So I have a negative y, and now I'm going to combine up my negative 28 plus 2. Once again, I'm combining those terms, I'm adding them up. So since the signs are different, this negative 28 will overpower the 2. So that means when it overpowers it, I'm going to take 2 from the 28. It overpowers it by 26. And I'm going to take the sign of that larger one, a negative 28. Are these like terms that I can combine? No, they're not. This doesn't even have a y. Can't put them together. So this is as good as that one's going to get. So I hope that helps with being able to use multiplying sign numbers in order to simplify your algebraic expressions. Remember, just go with those rules of multiplying sign numbers, that you multiply the digits. If you have an odd number of negatives, that's an odd negative feeling, so make your answer negative. If you have an even number of negatives, that's pretty good, so make your answer positive. So I hope that helps. Have a great day.